Welcome back to Morning Dose. Our coverage of the school shooting in Florida will continue in a minute.
But first, there's some other news happening around the world that we want to get you up to date on. And for that, we're going to go over to Crystal for our morning essentials. Crystal, good morning.
Good morning, guys. An immigration deal has been reached, but it still needs about 60 votes. The bipartisan deal offers a pathway to citizenship for nearly 2 million undocumented immigrants who were brought to the U.S. as children, and it also earmarks $25 billion for border security. Trump budget hearings continue on President Trump's proposed 2019 budget. Today, Treasury Secretary Mnuchin will testify to the House Ways and Means Committee on how to implement the $3 trillion in cuts the White House is asking for. Cuban attacks. Doctors remain baffled by concussion-like symptoms experienced by U.S. government workers who are on assignment in Cuba. Experts think they might have been the victims of intense, low-vibration acoustic attacks at their homes and hotel rooms. Tropical cyclone images. Stunning new close-up photos from space show the Eye of Gita as it churned in the South Pacific overnight with 130-mile-per-hour winds. Gita already caused widespread damage on the small island of Tonga, and it is now headed toward New Zealand, expected to make impact there next week. All right, now let's take a look at the National Weather Radar. A chance of rain today in the Pacific Northwest. North Texas will have some patchy drizzle. Southeast Texas has also a slight chance of rain along with Delaware Valley and the D.C. area as well. South Florida, you're going to be dry today. We'll have more details in that full local forecast in just a minute. But for now, let's head back over to Layla.
We are continuing our coverage of the school shooting in Parkland, Florida. 17 lives lost after a former student opened fire at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, according to authorities. Anthony DiLorenzo is on the ground there in Parkland. And Anthony, we know there's a lot that has to happen over the course of several hours. Bring us up to speed on what's happening on the scene right now and what we can expect today.
Oh, well, Layla, the school is closed for the foreseeable future, and today the grief counselors will effectively move in different locations to help this community really grieve and cope and get over this traumatic loss that they suffered here yesterday at the hands of a former student, allegedly. This morning, we have just seen him being booked into the Broward County Jail, which is about a half hour from the school in Fort Lauderdale. So overnight, they debriefed him. Detectives interrogated him as they try to determine a motive for this mass shooting, and charges have not yet been filed against him, but we expect to see those charges being filed against 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz possibly as soon as this morning, and could ultimately make his first appearance in court later on today. But it was around 2:30 yesterday afternoon. It was almost time for dismissal when the second fire alarm blared for the day. Students already had a fire drill earlier, and then they heard the fire alarm again, but that was much different. Apparently, Cruz allegedly pulled that fire alarm. He was armed with a gas mask and also smoke bombs and that AR-15, and drew students out of their classrooms and then sadly opened fire, killing 17 of those students. This morning, 12 of them have been identified, though not yet publicly. 14 more people do remain in the hospital this morning, and we are told that the suspect was actually kicked out of school here at the Douglas School last year because he was allegedly threatening students. He got into a fight with the boyfriend of his ex-girlfriend, and they thought that he was means for trouble. They thought that he could come back and possibly hurt students. Well, this year, those fears were allegedly realized when he came back here yesterday, according to investigators, and just opened fire. He managed to escape for a short time, though not for long. Investigators caught up with him in a nearby community and managed to get him into custody without incident, though this morning, as they continue to sift through all the evidence, investigators are still trying to determine what led to this loner opening fire here at this school, killing 17 of his former classmates as well as staff members here. Back to you.
All right, Anthony DiLorenzo reporting for us in Parkland, Florida this morning. Let's send it over to Gary.
So after tragic events like the school shooting, people always want to know what they can do to help out. And with those details, we're going to check in with our friend Anthony Ponce at DOSE headquarters this morning. Anthony, I wish I was seeing you on different circumstances, but unfortunately, here we are again. Can you please tell the people how they can certainly help?
Likewise, very tough morning, Gary. Thank you very much. Okay, so if you're joining us this morning from Miami, keep checking in with the Red Cross's Twitter feed and their website as well. They're doing updates on blood donation there. But if you're not from that area, there is still a way to donate blood, regardless of where you are in the United States. Log on to the Red Cross's website, and there's a search tool in there. You can type your zip code in the field there under donating blood, and you'll be directed to a donation center near you. You could really save an injured person's life by helping out here. Now, if you want to donate through money, a couple of ways here. You can always donate to the Red Cross, and the amount can be anything you want. You can just select the option for urgent humanitarian needs and support that way. Now, it is possible that GoFundMe pages are going to start kind of popping up as the morning continues. This is so fresh. So we've only found 2, haven't completely vetted them yet this morning, but that could very, very easily change as the morning continues, and we will keep you posted over the next few hours, Gary. For now, I'll send it back to you.
Anthony, very much appreciated. We'll be checking in with you over the course of the morning. Thanks.
Well, you know, as South Florida and America comes to terms with this latest mass shooting, one community just outside of Seattle is relieved after a school shooting there was actually prevented. Parents and students this morning crediting a grandmother who had the courage to call 911 after she found some disturbing entries in her own grandson's journal. In it, the 18-year-old wrote he flipped a coin to decide at which school he'd carry out his plan. Police got a warrant. They searched grandmother's home. They found a semi-automatic rifle, some grenades that didn't work. The community this morning applauding that grandmother, and a school official says she set the perfect example.
I know that it had to have been really hard for her to do that, to turn in her grandson like that. But she, quite honestly, probably saved a lot of lives, including her own grandsons.
My heart goes out to that woman, and I'm grateful to her because she saved all those kids' lives, all of them.
Yeah, the school district sent emails to families Tuesday about that Florida school shooting. The student who wrote those disturbing journal entries has been arrested.
This doesn't happen anywhere but this country. And the question is, obviously, and it's the question that nobody can seem to answer, is how do you prevent situations like this? Because even then we knew that at the school in Florida there was a security guard. There's usually school resource officers, but there's one person usually who's in control of one campus, but there's so many different entryways, and obviously this guy, you know, he had a plan going into this, pulling a fire alarm to essentially bait these students to come out here, and here we are again talking about it yet again.
And for me, the hard part watching all of this unfold during breaking news coverage yesterday, every time I see kids come out with their hands up passing those armed officers, the fear in their faces, and then just thinking, you know, how are we at this point once again? We have your local updates after the break. Keep it here.